why am I here? I had never intended to run for school board. I was very active in supporting the good work that the city does and making sure they stay on track. And when the referendum came up, I was very vocal about it, and I think Craig and I went round and round on that referendum. But I really didn't want anything to do with the school district because I had choiced my daughter out in her second year of high school, or because they were non-responsive to parents and they have their problems, and never looked back and wanted nothing to do with them, right? Voted yes on every referendum but the last one. And only the last one I voted no because I felt they were not being responsible. My daughter had put her kids in school and choiced out of this district in the first year. Last year, just before the referendum, she asked me, she said, this is a lot of driving. I'd love to go to Watertown. Can you check it out for me and see if they've changed, if they're more responsive to parents? And I said, okay, there's this Burke's briefing coming up, so I guess I'll go to one of those, right? And so that's where I met Dr. Burke. Dan was there, and I was telling Dan what the concerns were, and Dan said, well, you ought to run for school board. And I said, no, absolutely not, never. And that was kind of the end of it, right? And then we went round and round about this thing. And after the election, I looked at the school board and I looked at the makeup of the different people, because historically, my gripe about the school boards, there are lots of good people that have been on the school board through the years, but I felt like it was more of an echo chamber with retired teachers. Teachers are very valuable, we love them, but you can't have all of one viewpoint on the board and have it be productive. You need a really nice, diverse combination of people on board, and with good communication skills. And I looked at this board and I thought, well, that's a good start. And then somebody resigned. And then I looked harder at the board and I looked at what their different skills were that they brought to the table and how well they communicated, and I thought, that's going to be a good, productive board. And so then I started thinking about putting my papers in for that opening. So that's how this came to be. My why is Watertown has been, like Julian said, has a lot of potential, but it needs the support of a strong, productive, inquisitive, fearless board to ask those questions that maybe people have not asked in the past, and offer support that the board has not been able to give in the past. So I feel like we can do some really great things for Watertown, and I'd like to see Watertown be not just bring back students, but I'd like to see parents take notice of this school system and say, I want to move to Watertown because that's a great school. So that's my why. And of course I have 5 grandchildren. They're all I've got 2, a toddler and one in K-5 this year, and then my oldest grandson is 10. Anything else? Linda.
All right. I'm Linda Overbrunner. David and I are the new kids on the chairs here.
I didn't want to call on you.
I had a very short timeline to become interested in coming on this board. So short, it was less than 48 hours, okay? And how that happened was, my husband and I, and we've been married 52 years, were invited by a local church on a Wednesday night. they prayed for leaders in the community. And, Mayor was there, Dan was there, I never met Dan before, and there were a number of people, and, it was a very, welcoming group there, and my husband and I had, gone up, I had shared, with everyone that I feel like I'm a conduit in life right now, in this season of life. And we had moved to Watertown here, I'm doing both, okay, 8 years ago, this week. And when we had moved here, I didn't know, we knew one person, Fred Smith, and, well, we knew Jelaine, but I don't know that we knew that you actually lived here. We knew Jelaine very well, but I don't know that I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know.
You showed up at my door.
Okay. Okay. So, that pastor that night I had shared about these kids outreach events that I've been doing. This is our second year to do them for kids in Watertown who I absolutely love, and the opportunity to be able to do these outreaches, not just at the town square, but at the housing project where there's 192 apartments and upwards of 600 kids in those apartments. And I've gotten to know a number of them very well, and wanted to do these events that include bounce houses, face painting, things like that. And actually, sharing what we would consider called the gospel to the children. Not pushing, not forcing, but inviting. And if they want to stay and enjoy the thing, but nobody's pushing anything. But if there are kids that, want to, have a relationship with Jesus, we do give them a Bible, and we give them referrals to churches, in this community. So anyways, that's what we were supposed to share, and I had shared that. And, then the pastor encouraged, some of the congregants there or the attendees that night to volunteer at the Share the Love Kids outreaches. So this woman came up to me and she said, there's a group of ladies here that, we wanna talk to, and I thought they were volunteering. So I have all the little cards, and I have my pen and my paper ready to take names and phone numbers, okay? And, all of a sudden, they, said, we would like to talk to you about something. I said, you're not volunteering? And they said, no. And I said, I have a biblical marriage, and so I would like to have my husband come, whatever you're gonna say. I think it's a two-part answer here. So I just wanted him to hear, because you stay married 52 years when you share things with each other, not keep things away. So they had said, we think your wife should submit her resume, because I had shared about being a social worker for over 30 years. We think your wife should submit her resume. This is Wednesday night, mind you, at 8:30. And we are leaving at 6:30 in the morning to go to Ohio to visit our son and wife and 3 grandkids at 6:30. So, Mike said, if God's leading her and she takes something off her plate, I'm good to go, and he walks away. So, I thought he was gonna say no. I really did, and so then I was encouraged by the ladies to submit my resume, and I said, I need to pray about this, I'll take my laptop with me. And, that's how it all happened. And, I was very surprised. Lynn was very kind and gracious to, let me know there were 6 candidates. And I read everybody's bio in the paper, and I'm like, yeah, me. So, but, God seemed to say yes to this. So, what I can offer here is a little bit different perspective, as Lori was saying. It's a social work, because I've had that experience, it's a non-profit Christian social service agency working with women and men in unplanned pregnancies, and then doing international and domestic adoptions. So, and that's actually how I met Jolene, because at times she would be our speaker, or she was so supportive of what we do and, providing, huge support and encouragement for what we do, cause it coincided with her two organizations. So, again, I love children, and what I foresee is more communication and, with all parties involved, cause it's a trifold, actually four, because I'm now appreciating administration, cause I am like so new to this, so you think your learning curve's a lot? I'm starting from a lot, from quite a lower level, but I'm trying to absorb everything I can. Two of our kids they are educators, one in Laos, she's been in Southeast Asia for 20 years, and those 3 languages to be able to teach, because they are oral languages. And, so she's been able to teach there and serve there with a number of other people, and write curriculum and things. And then the other educator, son, is, he's the chairman of the Entrepreneur in Business Department at, it's called Cedarville University in Cedarville, Ohio.
Which is where I went.
Oh, wow.
So,
A
that
long
is
time- a
small
long
world,
time.
yeah. So, other things, I did write a book in 2000, because I had thought I was retiring in 2017. I just needed to get my priorities in life, because the agency where I was director, it was my number one idol, and so I had to get my priorities repositioned correctly, otherwise you're not good to anybody. And then, I was asked to come back by that agency. I kept my licensure, and I was asked to come back by that agency and start, really mentoring some of the caseworkers, a lot of them. It's a tough thing. And I love it, and, so I had just more recently not renewed my contract there. I do a lot of volunteering and things, and I run like Operation Christmas Child, the shoebox campaign here, at our church and at Ebert's Greenhouse Village, because why wouldn't you have shoeboxes at the greenhouse? I try to do things very different, because a lot of people, they don't go to church, they don't hear about this, so we introduced the program there. I've been working there seasonally for 8 years, and, so we implement a lot of different things as I share with our bosses, and they're like, what? Okay. So they're actually sponsoring one of our kids' events now that's gonna be happening on Saturday, so, I love connections and how God uses each person to build his kingdom, so. Oh, yeah, okay. It was Carl or Sam?
Okay.
It went like this.
We're saving the best for last, honestly. Yeah, so hi again. I was elected a year and a half ago, something like that. The reason I decided to get involved was because for a long time, public schools have been on a downward trend academically, and as far as the way that they relate to parents. And when I was looking at what was going on in Watertown, I had serious concerns about both. I wanted to ensure that parental rights were being respected, that academic excellence was being fostered, and that students were not being taken outside the realm of proper education. That we were keeping indoctrination or things like that out of the school system. So I ran, and I very openly stated that that's what I was running for, and I think that I had good reason to do so, and I've seen great success since the time I got on the board. We've really been one step ahead of what's been going on nationally ever since then. I have 4 cats.
4 cats.
Yeah. 2 of them are Maine Coons.
Those really are cats.
Closer to a tiger or something. They're still babies, so they're just like a little bit bigger than a regular cat. They're 6 months old, and they are, a little bit bigger than a regular cat. So apparently they grow for 5 years, so I don't know. I think their dad was a barn cat though, so I don't know if they're gonna get full size, but they look like Maine Coons.
This is sort of, they got to be heavier than you might wanna.
Sleep with the door closed, that's what I say.
Do I get to pick on you because you're the new cat lady on the board?
I suppose I also have a dog and a fish, so I'm really just an animal person.
It's not the toy poodle, is it?
No, it's an Australian Shepherd.
Okay, just in
Oh,
case.
yeah.
It's gotta be big enough to fend for itself, yes.
I wasn't the one who chose that route. I would've chosen like a Great Dane or something that you only need to take on a 20-minute walk, you know? I'm not looking for 80 minutes of exercise.
Yeah.
That was way too much.
Carl?
You're up, Carl.
Why am I here? Because I don't wanna be here. I was pushed into this job by the electoral. And why, I don't know. But I have a pretty good background in finance, and I think that's probably why, and because it's quite obvious the district is in one big mess when it comes to finance. Hopefully we can get through this, hopefully. Talk about prayer. The night before I was elected, I just told God, if you want me there, then have him elect me. But I didn't do any campaigning. I'm a very busy man, and I'm 82 years old, and I'm a very busy man. I got a lot of rental apartments that the day I was getting the house ready, the wife and I were getting the house ready to rent out again. And, I do a lot of tax work. I'm an EA, if you know what an EA is, most people don't. I'm an ATA too, but most people won't know what that is either, so. I originally came from Oregon, my hometown. My grandpa owned a major portion of that marsh until they took it away in 1923. And I'm not a big fan of the government because of that. He was the first one. It's a case of record down in Madison at the Wisconsin Supreme Court, where it was the first case where they took land through eminent domain for recreational purposes. I come from a family of 7, 4 sisters, 3 brothers. One brother was an outer space propulsion engineer for NASA. My great-grandfather invented the first broadcast seeder. He also worked for the guy in Chicago, McCormick, inventing all kinds of things. I still have one of his rulers at home that an old-timer in Oregon gave me, that he gave the old-timer, and the old-timer in Oregon gave me, so. After I graduated, I got sick of worked on the railroad for a summer, got paid for playing baseball. And, after baseball was over and, I took a trip out west, we were gone for about a month, traveled the whole west, came home and figured, what the hell, I'm gonna get drafted anyway, so I might as well enlist. So I enlisted in the military, and a few years later I got out and went to Whitewater, graduated from there, got my degree down there. Haven't worked for anybody since 1972. I've been on my own since 72. And, thank him upstairs, I've been successful. That's the only reason why. I personally believe that. So, that's it.
What do we need to know about you, Jared? Oh, I don't know. My life's a pretty open book.
Is it?
Yeah, I live in the public every day. I mean, seriously. You know, for those of you, who weren't here at the hiring committee, or haven't gotten to know me real well yet, this is my 10th year as a superintendent, second school district that I've been superintendent in. Was school administration been in any kind of school system that you can think of. Private schools, started teaching at Berry Patch, which is a preschool for kids in the Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Synod. And I taught in the 3 and 4-year-old room. So I've taught 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and elementary and middle schoolers and high schoolers. I teach adults still. I've been in very small school districts, under 700 students, and I've been in school districts as large as the Washoe County School District, where I taught in inner city school in Reno, Nevada. So I've been in suburban schools, small town schools like this, and everything in between. So, I still never say, if it happened, I've seen it before, because I still see new things every day, and that really continues to drive me. Was not gonna go into teaching. I was actually gonna be a photojournalist until I had a life-changing event. My art teacher at high school got stage 4 cancer and passed away. And the principal and my English teacher, who had me for our yearbook editor and school newspaper, I was the photography editor for our school newspaper, asked me to help the long-term art sub teach the photography unit, because they didn't know anything about photography. And I will tell you, the moment that I taught a particularly nasty young gentleman how to do film, and his attitude totally changed, and that moment that he said, "I got this," that was my hook into education, right? And I still get to see that on a daily basis, whether it's students or adults saying, "I got this," and seeing how I can help impact that continues to drive me every day. And so that's me. I've got 2 students here in the district. Ryan is a freshman here at the high school this year. He's a cross-country band and golf student. He loves Skills USA, especially the urban robotics part of that, and still loves to do that. Loves that program and all the mentors in that program. And Declan is a 5th grader at the STEM school, and he loves anything with a ball. And he just loves to run around and have fun and do those kinds of things. My wife Melissa and I have been married for 27 years, and she is my rock. She works out of the home. She's a registered dietitian, but doesn't do a whole lot. She is contracted in a clinic here in town to do some work, but tries to work very little at that, and works a lot at supporting us as a family. So I really appreciate and love her to death for that choice that she's making every day. What else do you want to know about me?
Kind of crazy to get to college.
Which college?
No, you don't have to.
And you can see my transcripts at the office if you want.
Oh,
So,
okay, come on.
but I will tell you, there's not many people I meet that I don't have more credits than.
Well, you're a doctor, right?
Yes, and have many postdoctorate credits too. So
Where'd you
I-
work, postdoc? Where did you work?
So, got my undergrad at Winona State University in Winona, Minnesota, and my master's degree at Marion College in Fond du Lac. That's where I got my master's degree in leadership. Edgewood is my doctorate, and I have a number of postdoctorate at Edgewood and Viterbo University. So I spend a lot of time in the Catholic schools in the university system.